And a good friend of the show, Tennessee State Representative Jody Barrett, has filed a couple of bills that I'm interested in. One specifically that would allow Tennessee gun owners with an enhanced handgun carry permit to bring their firearm into buildings that otherwise prohibit or restrict carrying weapons. At least that's the first line of the Tennessee Star article where I found out about several of these bills. I thought I would get it from the source, and so we welcomed Representative Jody Barrett, and he has agreed to be on the show with us today. Hey, Jody, how are you?
Good afternoon, Matthew. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, it's our 500th show, and we only bring the best on episode 500, and that's you, Jody. How about that?
Well, I am absolutely honored to be a part of such a momentous occasion for you and Bill Kay.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. In the third hour, we're going to break out the bubbly, and we'll see what happens. We're going to get crazy around here.
What about the after party?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know where it is. They won't tell me. So maybe you can get that information from Bell. But I think it's maybe at Party Foul or somewhere. Anyway, so let's talk about these bills. Let's begin with HB 2032. And I just want you to describe, for those of us just learning about the legislation, what these bills would do. HB 2032, go.
So 2032 allows an enhanced carry permit holder. Basically, it takes away the misdemeanor crime that is in the statute currently for walking past a posted sign into a building that is posted as no firearms. So the caption of the bill is a little bit misleading in that it says that enhanced carry permit holder is able to enter these buildings, but what it does is just takes away the criminal part of that statute. So a business owner can still post their business. They can still refuse to allow guns in. This is just removing that automatic criminal provision where if you cross the threshold of one of these buildings or businesses, an innocent law-abiding citizen becomes a criminal.
I don't have a problem with it, and I'm in favor of it, obviously, but a couple of particular questions about it. I mean, this is not something, and once again, I'm not criticizing you when I say this, but this isn't something that's happening, right? We're not charging Tennesseans criminally because they're let me put it this way, Jody. I take my gun into posted areas all the time. And, it's kind of a don't ask, don't tell, right? I do so with the understanding that if someone questions me on it, I'm going to have the authority to leave. What you're telling me is technically I could be charged at that point, right? Under current law.
Under current law, if you are found to have a weapon in one of these posted locations, you could be charged with a Class A misdemeanor. Okay.
And you just want to take that away?
I want to take that away because part of the issue that we're all trying to address is this rash of break-ins to cars and guns being stolen out of cars. Well, part of that contributing factor to that is law-abiding citizens that do see signs and try to obey the law and try to be mindful of the rules of the road, so to speak, will see a sign and turn around and go back to their car and take their weapon off their person. And that's just creating more targets. We have opportunistic criminals out there that are watching these posted locations, watching people return to their vehicles and waiting for them to go back inside to sit down for a meeting or a restaurant for dinner for 45 minutes or so at a time. They break the window, smash the glass, and grab and run. And this will reduce, hopefully, some of those opportunities for criminals that are looking for an easy smash and grab.
I hear you. Talk to me about the difference between, I don't have a permit in the state of Tennessee because I'm not legally required to have a permit if I conceal carry in the state of Tennessee. At least that's my belief. That's my understanding. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We have permitless carry in Tennessee.
What is the difference between getting a permit and getting an enhanced permit?
So an enhanced permit comes with a few extra steps involved, and the statute that we can pull that up and go over the details of it sometime, and probably in another discussion. But it allows for a little bit more vetting, and the other part of it is it does give a little bit more reciprocity as you carry that from state to state. An enhanced carry permit carries a little more weight when you leave the state of Tennessee.
So why would you, on your HB 2032, am I reading this correctly, that it would only apply to those with an enhanced permit?
That's correct. And you're going to ask, why would I limit it to just that?
Right.
Well, we have to start somewhere. And I've started this conversation last year with a bill that unfortunately the Senate did not decide to move anywhere with it. And you and I had a pretty spirited discussion about that at the time. But this is something that I think we've simplified the bill, we've stripped it down, and we've gotten it to a point where I think it's a little more palatable for folks that may have some squeamishness about giving more rights to people that have permits.
And once again, I'm not trying to make the perfect the enemy of the good when I question this, but why not just remove the criminality in all of it?
Well, that's where we're going. That's what I'm trying to get to. But again, as I said, we've got to start somewhere, and I think this is a spot where I can get the votes to get this passed.
How much more does an enhanced carry permit cost than a regular permit?
That's a question I don't know off the top.
Because aren't you separating those two classes of people at that point where it's still so if I just have a regular, I'm just walking through this in my head, Jody, I have a regular permit and I walk into store A, and for whatever reason they're going to be buttholes about it and they're going to use this misdemeanor statute to the fullest extent of the law. So I walk in with just a regular old permit. I'm going to get nailed for a misdemeanor criminal charge, but old boy right beside me who paid more for his enhanced permit, which functionally, frankly, that means nothing to me, but he's good to go just to leave. But person A is going to get dinged for the misdemeanor. But you're saying that you're just trying to stage this. I think you could go the whole way, Jody, and get it supported in the General Assembly, don't you?
I do think there's support in the House. I think we have a little bit more difficulty in getting some of these types of provisions passed in the Senate. And so based on what I've had multiple conversations over the summer with different folks, this is a starting point where I think we can actually get some movement in favor of gun owners in Tennessee.
What are the functional differences in the state? I understand you're saying that from a reciprocity standpoint that some states look at enhanced different than a regular permit, and I would look at that as their problem, not Tennessee's problem. But set that aside for a minute. What are the differences in the state of Tennessee between having a permit and having an enhanced permit right now? Like, what would an enhanced permit entail me to be allowed to do that I can't do with a regular permit right now? Do you know?
Well, that's part of the problem is there isn't a whole lot of difference between a regular concealed carry permit and an enhanced carry permit. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having that additional scrutiny involved. And to answer your previous question, an 8-year enhanced carry permit's $100 versus $65 for a concealed handgun carry.
Okay.
$65 also for a military 8-year enhanced carry permit.
The enhanced requires some additional training, et cetera. Is that right?
That's right. There's some additional training. There's some additional background checks and things that go along with it as well. So
were these enhanced permits, was the difference between the enhanced permit and the regular permit already in play, to your knowledge? And I know you're a freshman. I'm not trying to, ask you a question necessarily that you don't know the answer to, but my curiosity gets the better of me. If this distinction between the two types of permits existed before we got permitless carry in the state.
Yes. Enhanced handgun carry permit was created prior to the
permitless
adoption,
carry.
I think 2 years ago, of the permitless carry.
I think a better approach, and this is just, some guy on the radio spitballing here, but would a superior approach not be just to eliminate one of the categories of permitted carry and just have one category of permitted carry that has all of this underneath it?
Absolutely. And I think you're getting to kind of the crux of the issue when it comes to gun laws in Tennessee, and that we've had so much incrementalism over the years, and there's been so many different ingredients added to the soup that it's hard to recognize what actually we're dealing with. Certainly for somebody that is trying to follow the laws and be a responsible gun owner and citizen, it's very confusing. The laws are all over the place. And so we do need to do some streamlining, and I would love to see a complete overhaul to allow something to be passed that it would be more comprehensive across the board and make it much easier for citizens to know where they can and can't carry.
Jody, aren't you making it more complex with this legislation, though? Because now I go into a place of business, there's a sign, I walk by, and now instead of saying, well, I have a permit so now I have to make a distinction between, well, my permit is enhanced, my permit's not regular, so this person can't charge me with a misdemeanor offense. I feel like we're making it more complex than it needs to be. Maybe it's me. I mean, I was educated in Georgia, Jody, so I might not be understanding something.
Well, I don't know that we're making it more difficult. Hopefully we're making it more broad, where people who have gone the extra steps to get an enhanced carry permit have some understanding about what they can and can't do, and we have fewer people taking the risk of disarming themselves when they don't have to or shouldn't have to.
Well, I think you can go the whole way on this, and you would certainly get my support if you just remove any statute involving criminality with regard to walking past. I mean, is it not a defense for me to say I didn't see the sign?
Well, in any criminal provision, there has to be the element of intent in order for you to be charged with a crime. And so I think that's part of this issue as well. You've got situations where people don't see the sign, or they're unaware. Maybe they come in a different entrance, whatever the case may be. The biggest thing when I tell the story about how this might apply, and I work in the real estate world with a lot of real estate agents, particularly female agents, that carry a firearm on their side anywhere they go because they're in a lot of situations where they're alone, showing houses or whatnot. And when that person or that female real estate agent walks into one of these businesses, she is not the person that business owner is trying to protect against. The person that they're trying to protect against or defend their business from, they're not paying attention to a sign anyway. And so what I want to do is remove this notion that female real estate agent feels like in order to obey the law has to go back to her vehicle and take her gun off of her side.
But you're putting the burden on her to go take an 8-hour class and to pay extra money to get the enhanced permit.
And the vast majority of them already have that anyway. And so that's what we're trying to get to is give a little bit more of an incentive for people to get the enhanced carry permit and give them something for what they're spending that money for and that time.
Well, I would love to see it go the other way and remove the concept of enhanced versus non-enhanced. Just eliminate that. Have two classes, permitless carry and permitted carry. And if you want to keep the misdemeanor statute on permitless carry, that's fine. Just remove it on permitted carry altogether, and let's move forward. And if the business then sees me carrying in the store, obviously, and let's make this clear because I think we're on the same page here, Jody. Obviously, the business owner has an ability to say, hey, I don't want guns in here. You have to leave or take your gun away. And then I get to make a decision whether I'm going to frequent that business ever again, right?
Absolutely. It's just like no shirt, no shoes, no shirt, no service. If you walk in past the sign and they notice your weapon and they can ask you to leave, at that point, if you refuse, you're committing criminal trespass. So the business owner still has rights under this statute. We're not taking that away. They can still post their business and they can still refuse service to someone that is carrying.
Well, I would encourage you, Jody. I mean, I like the way you're thinking, but I would encourage you to focus on, and you know better about how things go down there and where the votes are down there than I ever will. Than I ever want to. But I would encourage you to maybe, I don't know, whip the votes and see if you could get something passed that would apply to everybody as opposed to just the enhanced carry. And you know how much I'd love streamlining that process.
Well, that's absolutely what we're working toward.
All right, Jody, thank you for explaining this for us. Is this the big piece? I mean, I think the companion is SB 1037. Is it Stevens that has the bill over in the Senate? Is that right?
There's another bill that Stevens has that was from earlier this year. I believe the Senate sponsor on 2032 is going. It hasn't been filed yet, but I'm hopeful that Senator Paul Bailey is going to file that today for us and be my Senate sponsor. What is
0746 yours? So I think I'm confused.
That's the one that I ran last year with Stevens, and it's been gen subbed in the Senate, and so it'll be coming off of notice in the House. And this is the current bill that I have, 2032, is basically a redo of that with a stripped down version. Again, having heard some of the objections that we had to that bill, concerns from both gun owners and business owners, this is a bill now that I believe that we can get behind and everybody will be able to support.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand, and take the separation between permitted and enhanced out for a second, it would just take any misdemeanor criminality out of if I walk into a place of business, I've got a gun, whether I don't see the sign or whatever, I'm not going to get into the head of people that are doing this, but I go into a restaurant, somebody notices I've got a gun. They say, hey, we don't allow guns here. You can take it back to your car or you'll have to leave. So there's not going to be any criminality in that. That's basically what we're talking about with this legislation.
That's correct.
Okay. Cool. Well, I would encourage you to talk to your fellow members and see if they'd be willing to apply this to everyone with a permit, because I think it would get some broad support across the state of Tennessee if you guys were to do that.
Well, I will be having lots of conversations over the next several weeks, and if I find that there is a sentiment in the House to do that, I'm all for expanding the rights for gun owners as much as possible.
Well, no, I certainly appreciate you even bringing it up. There are several questions on the super text line regarding the signage. Anyway, let's bring that up. I know we'll have plenty of opportunity to talk about this as it gets debated, because a lot of people are suggesting that we just eliminate the signage altogether. I don't know that that's going to happen necessarily, but Jody, thank you for your time. I appreciate you, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your 500.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. 500 shows, and Jody Barrett's been a part of like 4 of them. Yes!